Microsoft Surface Hub is developed to be the best way to create and brainstorm with others. What do we mean by that? Well, today's modern whiteboard has great capability in that it's fast and fluid and you can simply grab a pen and take the cap off and start writing on the whiteboard. But from there, you're kind of lost. You could add content to this whiteboard, but when you want to add more content outside of drawings, like you wanted to add pictures, you want to add sticky notes, you wanted to add all these different pieces, it's a lot of work. The other thing is when you get done with the meeting, you have to take a picture of it, and then you somehow have to transcribe everything that you've already created one more time in a digital fashion so that it can be shared with others. Microsoft Surface Hub is built to eliminate that. We give you a whiteboarding feature where if you're going to replace a whiteboard, it has to be as easy to use as a whiteboard. That means I want to be able to take the cap off the pen and start writing. In our case, we just have to tap whiteboard, and the device goes straight into a whiteboard in a walk up and use experience. Now I can actually ink on the device. You'll notice it's very fast and fluid, 120 hertz that we've talked about before. Fluid inking that allows us to do some interesting things of unlimited canvas where it always sees the device as a pen. The pen isn't a prop. It is an active participant in the brainstorming. The other thing that I can do is I can move the content around the screen very fast and fluid-like as well. In doing so, though, you want to have, what does a whiteboard allow you to do? It allows multiple people to come up to the whiteboard at the same time. So let's imagine that I'm a tent designer, and I have very limited, I'm more of a business type of person where I'm going to say, that's about the best tent that I could design. But I know that there's other people out there in my office. In fact, Juan, who's here, is walking by, and he has the ability to draw a much better tent, and he's our designer on the team, and I'm more focused on the business piece. So I'm going to move this tent over so that Juan can continue to work on it. But you'll notice that what we can do is we can simultaneously, I could be focused on the business side of the issue, and then Juan could be focused more on the tent side and the design piece. And we see that we're actually able to do this simultaneously. The device will support up to 3 pens simultaneously. The other piece, though, is that this is a Windows 10 device, not just a whiteboard. And so what I can do is I can come in here now and I can bring up an application. Well, Microsoft Edge, the new browser for Windows 10, will allow me to do that. So I'm going to come in here, launch Microsoft Edge, and actually bring up and look for some tents. So I'm just going to type tent straight into the command line, and I say, oh my gosh, there's a tent. That looks a lot like the tent that we're actually working on. And now I have this image of this tent that I'm quickly able to gather and bring into here. The other piece, though, is that I can take that content at any time and add it to my OneNote whiteboard. So I'm going to walk over, and actually you'll notice that there's a consistent chrome around the device where I can actually take it and hit a snip feature, and now it'll place it onto the other side onto my OneNote whiteboard, and now I can just clip in that particular portion of that tent and now bring it back into my OneNote whiteboard so that I can compare it to the version of the tent that Juan was working on. Now, in this case, we may find somebody else is working on a similar tent, so we should probably bring in some other team, maybe from our legal team or our advertising team or something else along that line. I can do that by now having an integrated Skype for Business into my device. It's always available. At any time, I can hit the phone button and have Skype for Business come up. And now, from an ad hoc nature, I can come in and actually type in somebody's name on the device and see that it fills in the corporate directory, and you can actually call somebody and invite them straight into the call. The device will turn on both cameras like we talked about before, and now it'll start to send that content to that other participant. And then the other remote participant will actually come into the call as well. And so as they start coming into the call, we can do a couple things. We can share this desktop with them. So I can come down and I can say present desktop. I can also come in and see if there's any instant messages that are taking place on there as well. Or I can continue to add more and more people as I feel is necessary. But at the end of the session, I'm now able to take that content that Juan has worked with me on, that I have simultaneous input from other people on the call as well, and now I have that capability to save that content by tapping the email button, and I can do one of two things. I can save it via email and send it out to anybody that I wish, or I can save it to my OneNote whiteboard as well. So that's why we believe that the Microsoft Surface Hub is the best way to create and brainstorm with others. Another core construct of the Microsoft Surface Hub is that it provides engaging and productive meetings. What do we mean by that? In this case, meetings are often frustrated. They're painful to get started. People join at different times. They're disruptive in that nature where I can't get the content I want. I have to figure out does that projector work that's in the room, and what do all those buttons mean along that line? How do I best get into it? Well, with the Microsoft Surface Hub, we allow you to turn the hub into a resource within your Exchange server for the room. And in that case, you can now send meeting invites to the device so that you can either have planned meetings for the device or ad hoc meetings. And those planned meetings means that you can actually send meeting content in your meeting invitation as well, such as a PowerPoint or something else you plan to review in there. So it's easy to bring the content up on the device and not have to authenticate in order to get to any of that data. So in this case, Skype for Business being integrated into the product shows me that I have a meeting now to join. And all I have to do in order to join it is just hit one tap to join. So let's go ahead and do it. So I hit the one tap to join. The cameras turn on. The whiteboard turns on as well. And now I can start adding content to it. In this case, maybe I'm thinking of taking a trip to Boston. And now I have my Boston subject matter expert again on the call. And we're able to start discussing, like, what are some things I should do when I'm in Boston? And of course, we should go to a Red Sox game when we're there. So let's take a look at where we need to go in order to get there. So I have a mapping application, which is part of standard within Windows 10 on this device. And now I can go in and actually say, show me, in this case, I want to go to Boston. And so I'm going to scroll through the map here and find that when I get down to Boston, I can just tap on the map and it'll take me there. Now this is Bing Map 3D, and so it gives me a great picture, in this case, of the Red Sox Fenway. And so now some of the things I could do is actually grab a picture of Fenway here and be able to show it on the OneNote whiteboard and build this trip log. So I'm going to come in and again, hit one tap to grab this content, and now maybe one of the things that I have to do is actually just focus on the big green wall or the green monster. And so now I can bring that in and actually move that content around the screen so that I can move it under my trip log, and now I'm able to start thinking about other things that I want to do within there. Within that meeting piece, we've now been able to go from a planned meeting, and at the same time we could bring in other people onto the call that we wanted that had more information, and then also we could go in and actually grab the content so that if there was a PowerPoint presentation about Fenway Field in this case, that I could actually have that as well. In this case though, what I really want to do is I want to exit the meeting. And so within exiting this meeting, I can now walk over and hit the I'm done button. And the I'm done button will say, are you sure? And in this case, I could have sent that content out and saved it to a OneNote whiteboard, or I could have emailed that content as well. But in this case, I'm just going to say, yes, clear my files. The device will wipe itself clean, and I can walk away with confidence knowing that the next person that comes in to use this device will have it available to them, much like I had it available to me.
Now let's recap some of the key points from this second module. First, consider that often it takes up to 12 minutes to start a meeting, way too long. It may be difficult for remote participants to join, and complex technology is difficult to work. Also, Surface Hub offers a digital whiteboard to make brainstorming easy and meetings more engaging. With it, you can email content to others or save it to OneNote. Participants can have a shared whiteboard experience, whether side by side or remotely. The pen for the whiteboard offers fluid and responsive ink that's both low latency and low parallax. It offers amazing collaboration with 3 simultaneous pens and 100 touch points. Anyone can start a planned or ad hoc meeting easily.